Good morning, everyone. So I'm taking a quick break at work just to speak to this. At my job, I was recently moved into a different department. I went from the warehouse to the print department, and I would say that's a couple steps up. I don't know if it's necessarily like an official promotion, but the responsibility and the reward to it, I would say, is probably larger, and the pay may be. So fingers crossed, we'll see what happens with the employee reviews and everything else coming up. That said, every once in a while, I will still go out to the floor where I was working in the warehouse and just kind of help out along the lines of helping the new people or the people filling in for my position. And it kind of gave me the thought that it's like when you have moved away from your hometown. It's nice to go back, but don't move back. It's just nice to visit. And it's the same thing with this job, my old job. It's nice to go back and see what I've moved away from. It's nice, and I miss some things about it, but it's not enough to say I would want to go back to that position. And it's the same thing we have in our lives. Whether you grew up in that small hometown where everybody is just satisfied to work at the mill, and that's all, and they marry the first person out of high school, that's fine for them, but may not be fine for you. If you grew up in the hardened parts of any society where there's just a lot of violence, crime, poverty, things like that, and you're able to get away, you might miss certain things. There might be some nostalgia about some of the things about it, but you don't want to go back. Now, I'm not saying that everything has to be a train wreck. That's why I gave you a hardened background versus just a very small background. And some people might have come from a big city and wanted to move someplace small. They don't like the hustle and bustle. Whatever it is that you've left behind doesn't mean that you have to completely ignore it. Doesn't mean that you have to say I'm better than it or the people that I left behind. But it's always nice to just visit, but don't move back. And that's kind of how I feel about this position. Now, you can always be moved around in your jobs. You can move to different jobs, things like that. But when given the opportunity and just looking at the circumstance that I'm personally in, I choose to really have this mind frame. And the reason that I know it to be true is because that thought just came to me. And usually that's when I pick up the phone and start talking to you guys. So I appreciate you checking in, seeing what I'm talking about, and I'm sure a lot of you know what I'm speaking to on some level, in some way, shape, or form. So what's your ace up the sleeve? What's your advice? What's your comment? What's your experience when all of this is said, as far as going back to visit but not moving? And maybe sometimes at the end of the day, we do move back to where we started. But I think for the most part, you guys know what I'm speaking to. And hopefully this finds everybody in a real place of pursuits, introductions, or whatever it is for total health, mind, body, and soul. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, love, unity, solidarity.